One more minute. She's watching.
That's my question. Hot boiled water. It won't boil.
Well, that one says one after.
That's not right.
We need to synchronate our clocks.
That's not right. Now it says. Let the record show at 6 o'clock. We'll call our meeting to order. Sarah, will you give the roll call, please?
Eddie Guggenhauer.
Here.
Emma Barnhart.
Present?
Eric Hall.
Here.
Christina Morton.
Present.
Ben Lewis.
Present.
Daniel Gann.
Here.
Michael Bush.
Here.
Arnold Stewart.
Okay, we do have a quorum. We have the agenda. No changes to it. I have a motion from Mr. Goff to approve.
Second.
Second from Mr. Gant. All those in favor? Opposed? The agenda is approved. Do we have anybody that's signed up for the open governmental? Let the record show that we have no one to speak until sunshine. We have 4 public hearings this evening. First public hearing is on Foley's, I'm sorry, approval of meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Whoa. You're anxious, aren't you? Motion from Mr. Goff, second from Mr. Gokenhour to approve the meeting minutes. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, good. We're ready to roll now. We got 4 public hearings. Foley Springs.
The first public hearing tonight is a request for waiver. The project is Foley Springs, file 2302-064. The developer's Panhandle Homes and the engineer's Fox and Associates. It's located in the Mill Creek District, tax map 11, parcels 2 and 2.3. This site's located on the south side of Sulphur Springs Road, approximately a quarter-mile east of Zigzag Lane. This project proposes 437 residential lots and 2 commercial lots on approximately 211 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The developer is requesting a waiver to Section 801, Table 8-1A, requiring 3 parking spaces for single-family attached dwelling with 1 space being off-site. The developer is proposing a 20-foot wide and 25-foot long driveway, which is adequate for 2 vehicles to park in parallel with one another. Also, the attached garage can park 1 vehicle, which provides 3 on-lot parking spaces. Staff recommends approval of the waiver contingent on the driveway starting from the edge of the sidewalk dedication. For attached dwellings that do not abut a sidewalk, the driveway should be set back to allow for a sidewalk to be installed in the future.
Mr. Sianovich, you're here to represent the project?
Yes, Steve Sianovich, Fox and Associates, representing the applicant.
Okay. This is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to make your comments known regarding this project. Asked if you come forward, state your name, your address, and any comments you might have regarding this project.
If there is no one, I move to close public hearing.
Second.
Okay, let the record show that there is no one to speak from public. Motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gann to close the public hearing. All those in favor? Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or of the staff?
I guess mine is almost more of a comment. I had concerns, Steve, right out of the gate. We have a 211 piece of acre parcel, and right out the gate, we're going to ask for a parking waiver. But I inquired about it with Laura, and Laura explained to me that it was actually a better situation than what the current ordinance provides for. And I agreed to be able to get both cars in a driveway on its own property and one for in the garage if there is a third vehicle. So at first I was a little like, come on, we have 211 acres.
I would add that these villa units, this is a mix of single families, villas, and townhouses. Typically, these villa units are 2-car garages. I'd add that. So if one bay of that 2-car garage is filled with the valuable stuff you can't part with, there's still adequate room for another car.
Mr. Sianovich, could you describe a little bit in the sketch plan about what efforts have been made to make compromises, on-street parking, overflow parking? What has the developer provided for in an effort to otherwise satisfy the requirement?
In the case of the townhouses, we do have community parking fields where we will meet the criteria established by the ordinance. In the case of the villas, which is what we're seeking here this evening, villas typically, I don't know if you're familiar with Spring Mills community. That's the typical villa. There's also some of these villas built in the Cardinal Point community. And it kind of keeps the streetscape neat and clean with regard to the vehicles being in the garage, the vehicles not being parked on the street, or the vehicles not being parked in a community parking field that could be potentially a walk from the villa site to the parking field. And the other thing we've been seeing in villas is that the purchasing demographic typically isn't the young couple, that's just got married. Usually it's folks that are downsizing, getting out of their single-family homes and going to these villas after their kids are grown and gone. So,
And in the case of inevitable on-street parking, are there any concerns or consideration given to passage for emergency personnel or other vehicles?
Absolutely. We've been trying to maintain, or we have been maintaining, the 20-foot clear dimension. And in the case of cul-de-sacs, for example, where fire apparatus would turn around, delay hose, or get to the emergency, typically under the preliminary plan, this is just a waiver request now, but under the preliminary plan, the no on-street parking signage would be applied or would be installed at the cul-de-sac areas. Give emergency vehicles adequate room to turn around and do what they need.
When it was actually the photo in the exhibit that drew the question that showed a cul-de-sac with cars in there, but it looks plenty big. So anyway, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, this is a request for the waiver on villas, and you said they're going to be townhouses. So are you going to come back with a separate waiver asking for different parking?
I don't think so. In the case of the sketch plan that we're working on, we have the townhouses shown similar to townhouse parking configurations that this board approved recently on another preliminary plan, where the parking pad or the driveway for the townhouse would be double vehicle width. That would give you 2. And then per comment we received from staff, we can count 0.5 parking spaces per garage within the townhouse and the villa unit. But as you're all aware, the ordinance reads multifamily, which is villas and townhouses, requires a total of 3 parking spaces per dwelling unit, one of which needs to be off-site. So I don't expect us to come back to it for another waiver on the townhouses, whereas we will maintain the 1 parking space being off-site for the towns.
And then the comment that the planning commission had, the planning department had about the sidewalks. No issue there that.
No, whenever we prepared the sketch plan, and granted, this board hasn't seen the sketch plan yet, we're very sensitive to maintaining, usually we like to be in the 25 to 26 foot neighborhood, meaning the back of sidewalk to that garage door. If somebody shows up with the F-150 Super Crew or whatever the case may be, there's adequate depth for them to park tight to the garage door, yet not impede the flow of pedestrian traffic on the sidewalk.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Additional questions for the planning commission?
No further questions. I make the motion, we accept staff recommendation, grant a waiver for section 801, table 8-1A.
I have a motion by Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Goff.
If I could clarify, just a question, only as it applies to attached single-family dwellings, right? Townhouse requirements, commercial requirements,
That's
all
what,
remain unaffected.
that's what this waiver
This
is
is
tied
just for
to.
the
Understood,
townhouse.
just a point of clarification. Right, just want to make sure the motion is clear.
I would add for the record that the sketch plan uses the term villa and not duplex, so you may want to consider using the term villa in the record.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next public hearing is Lowell LLC.
This public hearing is also a request for waiver. The project's Lowell LLC, file 2303-077. The developer is Lowell LLC and the surveyor is Roberts Land Surveying. It's located in the Arden District, tax map 19, parcel 41.2, and is located on the south side of Shiley Road, approximately 300 feet west of its intersection with Nadenbush Lane. The developer is proposing the creation of 2 residential lots to be served by public water and sewer. Proposed Lot A is 0.46 acres, and proposed Lot B is 0.94 acres. The owner is requesting a waiver to Section 305.4.1 of the Berkeley County Subdivision Ordinance requiring a 2-acre minimum lot size to process through the preliminary final plat process. Since the proposed lots meet the minimum lot size requirements of 7,500 square feet for single-family dwellings with public water and sewer and well-obtained WV/DOH entrance permits, engineering and planning staff recommend approval of the waiver to Section 305.4.1 of the subdivision ordinance.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent the project?
Good evening. Mike Roberts, represents project.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Your opportunity for questions and comments regarding this project, please.
Seeing none, ma'am, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Let the record show that there is no public comment. I have a motion by Mr. Gokenhour, second by Mr. Goff to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, your turn to ask questions of Mr. Roberts or the staff.
Mike, there hasn't been a request for highway entrance on this lot, the second lot?
It has not been, no application's been made. We're waiting to be sure the waiver was approved before we started the permits.
My concern there is that, there's a lot next to it, the Shiley, like, their driveway is really close to this property line on this thing, and not much sight distance down that road through there, so.
Additional questions, Planning Commission members?
Hearing no other question, ma'am, make a motion we accept staff recommendation for the approval of the waiver 305.4.1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gokenhour, second by Mr. Goff to accept staff recommendation, and that is to approve the waiver for preliminary final plat approval and of section 305.4.1. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Now, the next public hearing is Whispering Pines Townhomes.
Yes, this is a public hearing request for final plat determination. The project is Whispering Pines Townhomes, Phase 3, lots 1 through 31 and 72 through 93. The file number is 2212-383. The developer is DR Acquisitions LLC and the engineer is Fox and Associates. The project is located at Mill Creek District, map 10, parcel 50, on the south side of Middleway Pike, approximately 3,000 feet west of the intersection of Middleway Pike and Free Run Road. This project proposes 53 townhome lots on 8.67 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $925,754.40. The plat is to be released upon receipt of surety.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent the project?
Steve.
Steve Sianovich, Fox and Associates, representing the applicant.
Again, this is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to make your questions or comments known regarding Whispering Pines Townhomes.
There is no one. I move to close public hearing.
Let the record show that there is no one to speak from the public.
Second.
The motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gant to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich?
There are no questions. I'm making a motion for staff recommendation. Approve the final plat. Contingent upon receiving surety amount of $925,754.40. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Goff to accept staff recommendation, and that is to grant final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety amount of $925,754.40. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Last public hearing is Grace Renewed Church.
Yes, this is a public hearing request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Grace Renewed Church, file number 2301-019. The developer is Grace Renewed Church, and the engineer is Alpha Associates, Inc. The project is located at the Hedgesville District, tax map 37, parcel 16.1, on Thatcher Road, approximately 1,000 feet from its intersection with Dry Run Road. The project proposes the construction of a 10,200 square foot church building with parking to be built on a 4-acre parcel with private well and septic. There are no waivers or exceptions. On March 7, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith found the above-mentioned project to be compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Do we have anyone to recognize the project?
Good evening, Dick Klein with Alpha Associates here. We also have the pastor and one board member if there's any questions.
Okay, this is a public hearing. That's an opportunity for your comments to be known. Ask that you come forward and make those known at this time.
Move public hearing be closed.
Second.
Let the record show that there is no one to speak from the public regarding the project. I have a motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gant to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Klein or of the staff?
Hearing none, I'll make a motion we accept staff recommendation and advance.
Mr. Gokenhour, just one question, if you don't mind. Mr. Klein, could you discuss some of the information that went into the traffic estimates on the plat? I see a note that there's a traffic estimate of 50 cars. It just seems to me that that would be low for a building of this use and size, and concerned about the traffic of intersection on Dry Run Road, and so just wondered if you had any more information about the underlying traffic information.
We used the estimate of what the church is projected to hold when it's built, and they have one Sunday service, and they have Sunday school, and then they have a Wednesday evening Bible study. So that's where the traffic numbers come from.
Okay.
It's the intersection has very good sight distance. It's already been approved, tentatively approved by the highway department. They actually help select it.
So if the number one day would be double or triple, no concerns?
If I may, to help, the church's peak hour, the church never discharges during the peak hour of that intersection in the evening. The church is either discharging after that or it's on a Sunday. So the traffic generated from here is de minimis, because what we're worried about is the peak hour of the intersection, which is 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening. You see what I'm trying to say?
Understood. I'm just doing the math in my head of 1,000 feet from the intersection at
Well, they pulled
at least
it
50
from
cars.
ITV for the size of the church. That's where they got the church information.
Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Additional questions or comments from the Planning Commission? Okay, I think I had a motion started over here.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. Make a recommendation, we accept staff recommendation for the advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan.
I'll second that.
Motion, Mr. Gokenhour, second by Mr. Gant to accept staff recommendation, and that is to advance it from the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage for Grace Renewed Church. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes our public hearings. The preliminary plan approval for South Brook Section 2.
Yes, ma'am, this is a request for preliminary plan approval. The project is South Brook Section 2. The file number is 2205-136. The developer is Chandler's Glen LLC, and the engineer is Integrity Federal Services. This project is located at the Mill Creek District, map 3, parcel 9, on Shiley Road, approximately 0.3 miles north of Hatchery Road. This phase proposes 486 residential lots, 278 single-family detached, and 208 townhomes on approximately 185 acres to be served by public water and sewer. There are no waivers or exceptions at this time. On March 29, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The preliminary plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the preliminary plan to the final plat stage.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Jason Gerhardt with Integrity Federal Services and Hunter Wilson, the developer.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Gerhardt or Mr. Wilson or of the staff?
There are no questions. I'll make the motion. We accept staff recommendation. Preliminary plan meets the requirements of subdivision ordinance 2009. Therefore, staff recommends advancement of the preliminary plan to the final plan stage.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
This thing is, 486 homes down. Putting this development down here with 486 homes. My question I have is that road still has a single bridge on it, and what's the flow? I was trying to see if the study was done on that.
DOH, what Shiley Road are you talking about? With Shiley, DOH is deep that, okay, even though the bridge is a narrow bridge. We asked for right turn warrants analysis, they were never done. DOH did not support it. And they weren't in the traffic studies, so DOH opposed the issue. So where I am with it is I have no choice but to beat the project.
Traffic study was done.
I feel it's warranted different. I have no support for DOH.
Sorry,
And
Doug.
that letter, I think, went out to Mr. Gokenhour and Linda, that went back to DOH. We had DOH in here for a meeting, we asked DOH for their support, they said they would, and DOH did not. I can't do anything else.
And if you do have a specific question for the traffic engineer, we did have the traffic consultant who creates a traffic study is with us as well tonight. So if you have a specific traffic question,
Yeah, I would ask the question like of the flow pattern across that bridge and at specific times. Now that you're adding, because what you're doing is adding to the development that's already there, existing, and you're adding almost close to 500 homes there.
so, and just to be clear, are you asking about something on Shiley Road or?
Hatchery Road. The Hatchery, that bridge is on Hatchery Road. The bridge is on Shiley Road. Shiley, yeah, I keep getting it mixed up, it's on Shiley Road.
So this section of the development builds an entrance onto Hatchery Road,
So
which
the
will.
flow would come out on the Hatchery.
Correct.
But
It's
they did
interconnected.
come out on Shiley as well.
Yeah, it's interconnected, but the traffic study and the demands, the hatchery entrance will ultimately become the primary entrance because of the direction of flow of traffic people get to and from 81. Shiley will still always be accessible, and there's two entrances on Shiley, but the one on Hatchery, that's part of this stage, will be the new primary entrance.
Again, I'll just express my concerns with that single lane bridge down there on Shiley. That's, because I've traveled that road at busy hours, and it's a lot of traffic. It's that bridge quite a bit.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Gant. I don't have a second yet.
Second.
Second, Mr. Gokenhour, to accept staff recommendation, and that is to proceed to the final plat stage for Southbrook Section 2. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Actually, that was preliminary plan approval. You said final plat.
Advancement of the preliminary plan to the
Oh,
final
okay,
plat
I got
stage.
you, I got you, never mind, my bad.
Okay, staff council, anything? Staff?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, with no further questions, I have a motion by Mr. Goff to adjourn at 6:25.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?